Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, providing more than 41,000 jobs in the production of wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details at choosewood.com.
It's Monday, October 9th, 2023, and this is The Gateway. I'm Rod Milam, in for Wayne Pratt today. The wing that runs Scott Air Force Base got a new commander a little less than 3 months ago.
You need to be really intentional with the time that you have. So I set aside about the first 60 to 90 days to learn.
Coming up in a few minutes, a conversation with Scott Air Force Base Wing Commander Colonel John Poole about his vision for the base. A longtime advocate for immigrants will lead the recently created Office for New Americans in St. Louis City Hall. Gilberto Pinela will coordinate city resources for refugees and other immigrants who relocate to St. Louis. Pinela will move to city government from the Cortex Innovation Community, where he manages communications. He is a U.S. Air Force veteran who for many years hosted a popular Spanish-language talk show on STL-TV, a public access channel. Pinela is a native of Puerto Rico. More than 1,000 refugees from Afghanistan, Ukraine, and other nations have relocated to St. Louis since 2021. About 6,500 voters in West St. Louis County will go to the polls next month to decide if they want to become residents of Manchester. As St. Louis Public Radio's Rachel Lippman reports, views vary within the 1,500 acres that would be affected.
The territory Manchester is eyeing sits north and east of its current boundaries. It includes 3 schools, a county park, and dozens of businesses. Bill Handy specifically chose an unincorporated area when he moved to St. Louis County 2 years ago. He says the higher taxes and the loss of county police services aren't worth it.
It's just an additional layer of government that isn't necessary.
But Keith Weldon says joining Manchester will make things cheaper for him and his neighbors in the Barrett Chase Villas, especially addressing flooding along Grand Glaze Creek.
The city has a large fund that they use to help communities deal with erosion.
The election is November 7th. A majority of voters in both areas must vote yes for the annexation to take effect. I'm Rachel Lippman, St. Louis Public Radio.
Gas prices throughout the region dropped sharply over the past week. Average prices in the St. Louis area went down nearly 7 cents a gallon, according to Gas Buddy, and are currently at $3.53 a gallon. That's down about a dime from last month, but still up 8 cents from this time last year. Prices in the Rolla area are around $3.50 a gallon. In Quincy, the average price is $3.87. An analyst for Gas Buddy is predicting gas prices will fall another 25 to 45 cents a gallon by the end of November. For the first time, organizers of Hispanic Heritage Month commissioned a special flag to represent the event every September and October. St. Louis-based artist Jose Garza designed it. St. Louis Public Radio's Jeremy Goodwin reports.
Jose Garza is a visual artist who works with students at Washington University, coordinating programs with the Kemper Art Museum. The Hispanic Festival commissioned him to design the flag for Hispanic Heritage Month. Garza says his challenge was to create one design to represent the many Hispanic communities around the world.
My goal was to have something that could unite such a diverse group of people, to think about commonality rather than differences. Accept the differences, respect them, acknowledge them, but also to say, oh, this is something that extends beyond national borders.
His flag includes references to mountains, the sky, rivers, and an 8-pointed star to show the way. He spoke on St. Louis on the Air. I'm Jeremy Goodwin, St. Louis Public Radio.
Too many people are dropping off pets at animal shelters, and there's a shortage of animal lovers willing to adopt them. It's putting a strain on shelters, says Wang Horak, founder and CEO of the Center for Animal Rescue and Enrichment of St. Louis.
Our staff are so burnt out. We have a lot of volunteers who are also burnt out, and they see every day, 3-4 trucks lined up to drop off animals.
Shelter workers say the end of the eviction moratorium and a shortage of quality, affordable housing where pets are housed is making things worse. Many shelters provide free pet food and veterinary care. Horak says people who are in danger of having to give up their pets should see what help is available. She spoke on St. Louis on the Air. Every 2 years, the wing that runs Scott Air Force Base, the 375th, gets a new leader. Colonel John Poole has now been that leader for 81 days. St. Louis Public Radio's Will Bauer sat down with Colonel Poole and asked him about what his wing does on a day-to-day basis.
We have 2 pretty major responsibilities, I'd say, within the 375th. One, we have an installation mission. So if you think about this base as let's say an aircraft carrier, right? We operate the ship, keep the ship afloat, chugging through the water, and then we have mission partners who also reside on this base, 35 of them, that have their own mission and their own function that they're trying to fulfill for our Department of Defense, right? So that's the aircraft that are operating off this aircraft carrier, if you want to think about it that way. And then the 375th Air Mobility Wing, again, has aircraft that fly all over the world. We have the aeromedical evacuation squadrons. Anyone who is a patient anywhere in the deployed system or in out of the continental U.S., if they need to be moved for care, they come in contact somewhere with the medevac teams, the aeromedical evacuation teams that are out in the system for patient movement.
So now that you're a few months into the job, is there anything that Colonel John Poole is doing differently, or maybe just some way that you're putting your mark or your stamp on operations here that was maybe different than before?
The beauty of being here at this moment is that I get to build upon the foundation that was already set. So the previous commander, Colonel Chris Robinson, and his command team, we see the world very similarly. We see the challenges that the Air Force and that our nation are facing very similarly. And so he had taken some steps to change the culture to focus on combat readiness. So it's not that I'm doing things differently. It's just now that the wing is in this place, and now we're focused on this expeditionary airbase capability and the Air Force fourth generation tasking that we'll have coming up. So we're building upon that combat readiness to actually go employ it.
How long do your assignments last?
Usually about 2 years.
Is it hard to get a lot done in 2 years? Because I know you just said like you're still learning, and you'll be learning probably until you get your next assignment. Is it hard to figure out all the nuance and all the details and context, and then all of a sudden you have a new assignment?
There's never enough time, right? Is generally how it feels. I think I came into it with what I felt like was a pretty solid plan, and it's how I attacked my last command assignment. You need to be really intentional with the time that you have. So I set aside about the first 60 to 90 days to learn. And then there's a period of about 2 weeks where we're going to formulate the strategic plan for the next 18 months, and then we're going to execute. You got to be careful, though, because anytime you step into a new role as a leader, or the organization has a new leadership, you can induce a lot of turbulence into the organization just by changing everything. Change for change's sake. Change for my preference. Change because I don't understand why things were the way they were, and I just want it different. And then when we build this plan, there's going to be a lot of change in that, for sure.
So as you go into those meetings over the next 2 weeks for your strategic plans, what are some of the things that you are going to be addressing? What goals will you want to come away with?
Building a shared understanding so that way everyone understands, again, why we're doing what we're doing. I think at the kind of macro level, that's what I'm focused on. Kind of at the intermediate level, again, I see three kind of focus areas that we're here to get after, and that's operate the flagship, this garrison mission that we're talking about, kind of in all conditions, deploy forces forward, and then seize competitive advantage.
That was Colonel John Poole, the new commander of Scott Air Force Base, speaking with St. Louis Public Radio's Will Bauer, and our Brian Moline edited that piece. St. Louis Public Radio is a listener-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis. Music for The Gateway by Ryan McNeely of Adult Fur. I'm Rod Milam. Have a great day.
Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.